Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here today. My name is Sonu Nahata, Assistant Director with the Institute of Company Secretaries of India, and I'd like to welcome you all to this very interesting and intriguing webinar on enhancing your communication skills, hosted in association with the British Council India. English, as we all know, is the most widely spoken language around the world. And with globalization of tasks and resources, the weightage attributed to this language has risen considerably. The dynamism in the world economy today demands that every professional acquire a better competency in English language to keep pace and survive this competitive environment. And with the company secretary profession going global and growing many folds from compliance to governance, it has become all the more imperative to become proficient. I mean, why let something as basic as language create a bottleneck in your career graph, right? So today's webinar is just about that. We are grateful to our co-host, the British Council India, and Ms. Ridhima Somaya, our speaker for the day, for being a part of this webinar today. It'll provide you with the tips and tricks of enhancing your English communication. Just a brief introduction of our speaker. Ms. Ridhima Somaya is a higher teacher and business development lead academic at the British Council India. She has a master's in business administration and has worked in the retail industry with leading corporates. Her association with British Council stretches over 8 years, where she's been both a student as well as a teacher. She's taught at the British Council Kiev, Ukraine, and International House London, and has trained multiple in-house and corporate clients, including various management and government institutions. It is her corporate work experience that has helped her add a real-life application in communication skills. Now, without much ado, let me invite Ms. Ridhima Somaya to please take charge from here and share some valuable inputs of English communication with us today. But before I do that, just a quick information. Before I hand over the session, we'll be taking questions from the audience live in the chat bot during the webinar, but they'll be all answered towards the end. So you're welcome to post your queries, and we assure you that we'll try to accommodate as many relevant questions as possible, as long as the time permits. And now I would request Ms. Somaya.
Recording has started.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Sonu. I'm looking forward to this presentation, and I would request all of you to, whoever has joined us, please feel free to make notes and take down pointers, because some of this information is going to be quite relevant for you when you actually need this in the future. So I'm just trying to share my screen. Please bear with me for a moment. I'm sorry, Sonu, if you could please just help me share the PPT, because I'm having some technical issues here.
You able to see the screen?
Yes. If you could please go to slide 3.
All right.
Thank you so much. So I have been an English language teacher for the last 8 years. And from my experience, I can tell you that we in India are fairly confident with reading and writing in English, but we lose confidence when we have to listen to someone speaking in English, and we hesitate when we have to speak at length. Speaking English confidently is an important goal for many. Often, we hesitate because we are afraid of making mistakes or embarrassing ourselves in front of others. Sometimes, mistakes are unavoidable, but like any other skill, you can improve your spoken English if you practice regularly and follow these simple techniques. So, to be a good speaker of English, we first have to be a good listener. When we think about how a child learns how to speak, they first listen to a language and then slowly pick up words, phrases, and finally sentences. So the first tip that I would like to share with you, if you want to speak better English, is to be able to listen better. So you need to work on your listening skills. Listening to English has several benefits. It allows you to pick up new words, phrases, and ways to respond in conversations. Secondly, listening provides opportunities to understand pronunciation, how some words are omitted when speaking, how some of them are joined together, the rhythm, the intonation, and the sounds of the language. So what really should you be listening to? There are many resources available to you to listen to for free. You can start with some short English clips or videos. You can even pick up your favorite English TV show or your preferred YouTube channel. Listen to a clip and notice carefully what the characters are saying. Repeat any dialogues or phrases that interest you. You can replay the same clip until you understand every word. You could also turn on the subtitles or look at the transcript of the video, if it is available, and practice saying the dialogues along with the characters. This is a great way to actually have fun and practice your English at the same time.
Ridhima,
I'm sure that...
sorry to interrupt you. If you could be a little louder, we've just got a query that the voice is not really clear.
Okay, I'll come closer to the screen.
Yeah, I think that'll help.
I hope it's better now, Sonu.
Yes.
Great. So English podcasts are another popular way to listen to English and improve your listening and speaking skills. I'm sure that you have already explored the world of podcasts. Podcasts are short audio clips that are available online on various topics. They are usually released regularly as episodes on a larger theme or a range of topics. We have a podcast for professionals series which is available on our Learn English website. So if you just go on Google and you write Learn English podcasts for professionals, you will see that the link comes up. And that is a great resource to listen to some English in the context of business and the workplace. There are various episodes and each episode focuses on a different business issue and provides some useful tips and techniques to deal with that issue. The third most interesting way to improve your listening and speaking is by listening to audiobooks. Audiobooks have become very popular over the past couple of years. They are great for people who have no time to really invest in reading books. They are also a wonderful way to perfect your pronunciation. I would like to suggest a website to you by which you can access free audiobooks, and the website is called digitalbook.io. Digitalbook.io. They have a lot of free audiobooks for English language, improving English language, and you can access it for free. So what can you do with these audiobooks? You can try and listen to a portion of the text and pause the audio and read aloud to practice saying the words yourself. And the great thing about audiobooks is also that even while you're cooking, while you're doing your chores around your house, while you're in the car going from driving, you can listen to these books in the background. Finally, nothing can beat actual English conversations with people. Listen to your colleagues speaking in English. Listen to your boss giving presentations and conduct meetings in English. Listen to your teacher speaking in English, maybe even your children. All of these real life conversations will help you become a better listener and a better speaker of the language. Remember that listening as much as possible will help your speaking significantly. When you are engaging in conversation with someone, it's very important to listen to them. So when you are really listening to somebody, what are some of the tips that you should keep in mind? Sonu, can you move to the next slide, please? So these are some tips that you can keep in mind while you are listening. So a good listener is someone who looks at the speaker. So remember to maintain eye contact. You must pay attention. Don't zone in and out of the conversation. Please pay attention when somebody is talking to you. They think about what they hear. So when you are listening to someone, please listen carefully and try to understand the meaning of what they are trying to say. Don't listen only to reply. You should sit still. So don't do like fidgety movements like fixing your tie, your hair, touching your face. All of these things can really distract the speaker. You should ask questions, but going to the other tip, don't interrupt the speaker. Let them finish, but ask questions if you require clarification or it's absolutely necessary in the middle of the conversation. You should stay focused and you should listen to the conversation. Speak only when it's your turn. Stay patient. Give feedback and remember to ask follow-up questions which are related to the topic. So I hope that you're going to use some of these tips and going to take some notes and try and use these the next time that you're listening to someone. Next slide, please. My next tip is actually to imitate. Remember, we've already spoken about listening. The next tip is to imitate. Now that you have listened to loads of English conversations, it's time for some imitation. Yes, that's right. Imitating or copying someone is a wonderful way to improve your speaking skills. Not convinced? Remember, I was telling you that babies and children, how do they learn a language? They copy everything an adult says. Another benefit of imitation is that it will help you become more accurate in English without having to learn grammar rules. With lots of practice, you will be able to begin to remember chunks of words and phrases. This helps in remembering word patterns in a sentence and how certain words go with others. To effectively improve your speaking skills, you need to follow the steps which are given on the slide. So first, listen. We've already spoken about this, but the way that you can is pick up your favorite video or audio clip from any of the sources that we have spoken about earlier. Play the audio and listen to it carefully. Play it as many times as you like to understand how each word is spoken. After you have listened to it, this is the time now to repeat and record. After playing the audio, repeat saying the words and conversations exactly as you heard them. Pay special attention to the intonation, stress, and rhythm of the language. Record yourself while repeating the words. You could use a voice recorder on your phone, very simply, or you can even use a web service. And a web service that I would like to recommend is Vocaroo. If you just type it on Google, it will come up. Vocaroo. Vocaroo. Recording will provide you an opportunity to listen to yourself, and then you will know the errors that you have made. This will also give you the opportunity to correct your own errors. This is a very important step, so please don't skip it. The next tip that I would like to share with you is to compare. Listen to the audio again and compare it with your recording. So the original with your recording. Does it match? Note down the changes that you might need to make. Finally, correct. Repeat the entire process again until you get better and more accurate. As this process involves listening to the same audio clip several times, choose a topic that is interesting to you. If you stick with the routine, you will see improvement in your pronunciation, vocabulary, accuracy, and overall speaking abilities in no time. I promise you this really works. Move on to the next slide, please. The next tip I would like to share with you is read. Reading is yet another important skill to have when learning a language. Whether you prefer a novel or an article, reading a few minutes every day will help you acquire new vocabulary. And no, reading WhatsApp messages does not count. The most common reason why people hesitate with reading is that it takes quite a lot of time to read a book from start to finish. However, when learning English, reading even for a few minutes is greatly beneficial. Short articles or notes in English are great for this. It only takes a few minutes to read and they are quite easy to find. You can start with materials you find every day. Think of notes or memos at work, pamphlets or brochures at your local supermarket, notices, safety instructions, in the elevator. Wherever you are, there's always something to read. If you are looking to improve your workplace English along with your vocabulary, you can try the business magazine which is available on our Learn English British Council website. You will learn useful language for a wide range of business topics from different perspectives, as well as tips and techniques for dealing with business issues. Remember that if your goal is improving speaking skills, it is a good idea to read aloud. This will not only help you practice unfamiliar words, but also help you to improve your pronunciation and fluency. Next slide, please. Let's move on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is reflect. Reflection is a very useful step in improving your speaking skills. Reflection is nothing but asking questions to think about what you have learned, how you have learned it, what progress do you see, what could be done differently, and how to change the way you learn to allow progress. It is important to reflect on your language learning abilities on a daily basis, especially if you are learning a new language, that too independently. Reflection is another way to provide yourself with some good feedback in the absence of a teacher. Say you had a conversation in English. After your conversation is over, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself questions such as the following. How was it? How much did you understand the other person? How confident did you feel in responding to the questions asked or continuing the conversation? How comfortable did you feel about the topic of the discussion? How quickly were you able to think of the right thing to say or the right word to say? Did you come across any unfamiliar words? What did the other person do when they couldn't think of the right word? Thinking about these questions will help you see your strengths more clearly and gain confidence. You will also find opportunities for improvement and specific areas to work on. Recording your reflections in a notebook after every learning session will help you see progress over a time. You could also reflect after reading or listening to something in English. You can ask yourselves these questions. What are some of the key points you learned from the article or the podcast? Can you summarize them in your own words? Are there some words or ideas that were new to you? Can you use the words and sentences around the new word and guess the meaning of the new word? Look up a dictionary soon after to confirm if you got the meaning right. A very good dictionary to use, and that too online, is dictionary.cambridge.org. So if you type that up in Google, it will come up. Next slide, please. Moving on to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is got to do with preparation. A lot of us hesitate to speak or take part in conversations in English because we are nervous about what to say. We are anxious that what if we say may not be appropriate or we may make mistakes. We can easily fix this problem by preparing ahead. Are you going to a restaurant with some colleagues? Think of situations that require you to speak in English. Order food perhaps. Ask for changes that you want to make to a dish. Ask your colleagues' preferences. Asking for the bill. So what vocabulary do you need in these situations? Write up a simple list of phrases to use. Next slide, please. And this is an example. So you can see that there are various situations given on this slide, and there are some useful phrases that one can use when in this situation. So if you know that you're going to a restaurant with someone senior or someone who's not from the same state as you or doesn't understand the same language and you need to speak in English, someone is from a foreign country, write up some of these phrases from before, practice and prepare before you actually go into the situation. You can create similar cheat sheets for everyday situations. You will find yourself becoming more confident and ready to speak in English. If you need help, you will find many useful phrases for different situations in this link. So if you just go to Learn English British Council and then go to Speaking, it will give you many links. Next slide, please. Tip number 6 is speaking. Yes, absolutely, speaking. There is no magic pill that would help you speak better. You must put yourself in situations where you are forced to speak in English to get better at it. Start small. Do you live or work at a place where you need to speak English to get by? That's amazing. Then take advantage of the situation by speaking to people around you. It could be at your workplace or even at a coffee shop. It doesn't matter where, as long as you can speak. If you don't have this situation, or this advantage, then practice speaking in English with your colleagues or like-minded people, even your family members, who would also like to improve their communication skills. It's easy if you choose someone who speaks a different language than you do, as it forces you to sort of communicate in English. These days, a lot of online forums and discussion groups focus on language learning as a goal. Joining such a forum will help you practice speaking with students from different parts of the world with similar goals. Many of these groups are easy to find. You can try Facebook, Reddit, and my favorite one in the recent past is Discord. So if you just type Discord or discord.com is the website, and you can get in touch with many people from across the world who would like to improve their English. Just a word of caution, it's important to keep in mind internet safety and security when you are joining these online groups. I was just telling you that it's important to speak to people in English. But remember, when you are talking to them, don't try to correct the errors that they have made. Try to ignore those errors. The main motive of you speaking in English is to be able to use the language and gain confidence. So if someone corrects your errors all the time, you will not gain confidence. You will lose confidence. So don't correct the errors of others as well. Next slide, please. The 7th tip that I would like to share with you, and I cannot stress this enough, regular and consistent practice is the key to success when it comes to speaking in English. The tips and suggestions that we've described above in the last 6 tips only work if you use them regularly. So here's what we recommend. Start small. Spend just 10 minutes every day doing one or two of the things that we have discussed before. Maybe listen to a short video clip today and imitate it. Reflect on what you've learned. Tomorrow, you can pick up a short article. Read aloud and summarize them in your own words. Reflect on what you read and find out the meanings of the new words in the dictionary. Some days, you might find some more time. Dedicate more time when you can, but do the minimum 10 minutes every single day. You will see a big change in your abilities in no time. As you improve, you'll get more confidence and more ready for bigger challenges. This is the time to find speaking partners and put yourself in situations that require speaking in English. Don't worry about making mistakes. Most people don't care if you really make mistakes. And my final tip is don't forget to have fun. It's easier to learn something new and commit to learning when you're having fun. So practice learning English by singing along to popular songs. And a website I would like to suggest to you here is called lyricstraining.com. My colleague is posting all these website links in the chat box as we go along. So please do try these tips today and start your language learning journey right away. So we've spoken a lot about speaking and about listening skills. I would like to now talk to you about emails. I would like for you to reflect on these 3 questions and feel free to put your answers in the chat box. How often do you need to write emails? Do you think that the number of emails will increase when you enter the world of work or progress in the world of work? What problems do you face when writing emails? I'm looking forward to some of your responses. Okay, so can you go to the previous slide, please? So I know that many of us face problems with writing emails, and some of the problems are that you don't know how to make the messaging clear, how to write efficient emails. When we are writing emails to different people, what are the things that we must keep in mind? So I would like to share some of these tips with you now. Here are the 5 C's to keep in mind for clear, concise, and competent emails. So let's go on to the first C. Next slide, please. So the first tip that I would like to share with you is complete. So when you start writing an email, state your purpose upfront and provide the right amount of information. Don't write too much or too little. State what action will follow and when and who will do it. For example, I'm writing to inquire about the new photocopier model manufactured by ABC. If you write the reason for, if you state the reason for writing the email in the opening sentence and present all the information in a logical order, then the person who's reading the email will be very clear as to what they need to do as a response to the email. So remember, please state your purpose at the beginning, just as soon as you start the email. Next step, please. So here are some phrases that you can use for the opening of emails. So when you are stating your purpose, you can say, I'm writing to inquire about something. I'm writing to complain about something. So you get straight to the point. You can also set the context. So I'm writing about the job advertised, or I'm writing to tell you about the way I was treated by your Mount Road branch manager on 3rd June. After you have provided the context or stated the purpose, you need to talk about the details. The details, you need to give the information. For example, you can say, I regret to say that because of this. You can even write paragraphs or put the points that support your opening statement into bullet points or numbered lists, especially if you have like a number of things that you need the reader to do, or a number of questions that you need to get answered. And remember, I said logical sequences. So what are the ways in which we can set the logical sequence? One of the ways is chronological. So talk about a series of events, what happened first, next, and after that. You can even sequence it from most important to least important. And another way of sequencing it logically is to talk about the situation first, the problem next, and finally the solution. After you have talked about the opening and the details, you can move on to the action. That means that what action would you like the reader to take as after you have written the email. For example, please send us this, please do this, I'm looking forward for you to do this, so on and so forth. Finally is the closing, and this is the next step. So that means I look forward to meeting you on Tuesday. Can you call me on this? Don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any clarifications, so on and so forth. An acronym that we use for this format is called ODAC. ODAC. So if you see, it's opening, details, action, and closing. So this is ODAC is a simple way for you to remember this the next time that you are writing emails. Let's move on, please, to the next slide. The next C that I would like to talk to you about is clarity or clear. Use precise language. Don't try and use very flowery language which the reader might not understand. We in India have a tendency to do this, but especially when we are writing to global clients, this is something that we must keep in mind, not to make the language too complicated. Keep it simple so that your message cannot be misinterpreted. Don't use very big words. Use simple words, but effectively. Use linking words or paragraphs to logically connect ideas. And how can we do that? Firstly, secondly, thirdly. On the one hand, on the other hand. Use words like these to talk about, to link ideas and sequence them. Next slide, please. Next is correct. I cannot tell you how important this is. I am an English language teacher, and even now when I send an email, before I hit the send button, I always check my email for grammar and vocabulary. Grammatical accuracy plays a big part in how you come across to the reader and if the message was received as you intended it or not. Read it as if you were the recipient. Is your message completely clear? Have you understood very clearly what you want the recipient to do? Well, if yes, fine. If not, then please do make some changes. Even now, when I check my emails, I will find a punctuation missing, a word that I would like to replace, a word that I've repeated a couple of times and maybe I would like to find the synonym of. So these are things that you can do in order to make your email more correct. Remember that words are powerful, but the right words are dynamite. So you must choose your words very, very carefully. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Concise. The next C is concise. It is important to use short sentences with no more than one or two ideas in each sentence. I've come across so many people in the corporate world who actually write a full email in one sentence or one paragraph as one sentence. This is not a good idea, and I would highly recommend that you break up the ideas into smaller sentences. Keep your emails crisp with easy to understand messages. The sentence length and the big words can distort the message. By the time the reader reads the last part of the message, they would have forgotten what the first part was. If your email runs into many paragraphs, then you are likely to have a problem. The shorter the email, more concise the email, the more efficient it is. And really, would you like to read very long-winded emails? It's not a good idea. When we don't like to read it, we should not write them either. Next slide, please. Let's look at this. So, number 1, let me read this out to you. The recommendation I have, and this is the area which I will now address in this section, is that relating to the issue of whether we need to provide refreshment for the employees of our company. It is being considered, it is my opinion, that in fact it would save time if the aforementioned meal could be provided with our company, by our company, rather than having the employees go outside for any eventual refreshment. Now you can see that this is not a very efficient sentence. The way the efficient sentence is, in order to save time, my recommendation is to provide refreshments to all the staff in the office rather than having them go out. So you can see that the same sentence has been rewritten in a concise way. Next slide, please. Courteous. This is very important because in India, we have the tendency to be over formal. In school we were taught that informal emails or letters are written to friends and family members, and formal letters are written to everyone else. But that's not the case anymore. Now most emails fall under the semi-formal genre. Now, semi-formality also has like a wide range, and we are just going to discuss it in a minute. So how do we know what kind of language to use with whom? Our relationship with the reader of the email basically influences our choice of language, whether it will be formal, informal, or semi-formal. When talking to your reader, you need to tailor your writing to fit their specific needs. Even formal emails are expected to be less formal than formal letters. But it's important to know what these differences are. So, formal letters are actually written to like government employees or principals of schools or colleges, not really to anyone else, I would think. Like, I can't remember the last time I wrote a really formal email. Can you move to the next slide, please? So let's look at this. What are the levels of formality? You can see over here that it ranges from very formal to slang. So very formal would mean like ceremonies like wedding invitations, funerals, legal documents like Mr. and Mrs. White cordially invite you, things like that. Formal is written and spoken to people who you don't know very well. Basically, you've not met them before, or it's the first email you're writing to them. So basically, they are mainly professional and business. And an example of this is, my apologies for the delay in replying. The informal genre would be written and spoken to people who you know quite well, and they are people who are your long-term customers, your colleagues and friends. For example, just a note to let you know. Then comes colloquial. Colloquial is basically spoken to close friends and family. So you can see, oh, come off it, or give us a break. We don't usually use this at the workplace, but you can of course use it with colleagues who you are close to. And then is slang. And this we would use, millennials really use it, and we would use it when in really informal settings or when we talk to each other saying what's up, things like that. So do keep in mind the relationship between you and the reader while you set the level of formality. writing overly formal emails is a thing of the past and globally not accepted anymore. Next slide, please. So with that, I come to the end of my presentation to do with communication skills. Sonu, if you could please just stop sharing the presentation. Super. And I look forward to taking some questions now.
We have received a few questions. I think while we were just on the email, someone asked that what should be the theme of the email? I think they meant the subject of the email. How do we? Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. Now, the subject of the email, please limit it from a maximum of 3 to 5 words. The reason that I say that is that when it comes up in your inbox, you can't see more than 3 to 5 words in the inbox. So it's important to just use the keywords in the subject, what the email is about. Don't worry about grammar. It doesn't need to be a complete sentence. It just needs to be keywords. Yeah. So remember, keywords of the email to summarize the theme of the email, maximum 3 to 5 words.
If you could just share an example, I think it will be easier for them to understand.
So if you are writing to find out some information about a hotel stay, maybe I've got holidays on my mind now since I haven't been on one for a long time. So if you want to go to a hotel and you are inquiring about the tariff, then you can write information and mention the name of the hotel. So that the person who, usually these emails go to like a customer services team, and it will be easy for them to actually know which hotel's information you're looking for. So remember to mention the keywords.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, if you just mention the 2-3 things, it'll be easier for you also to, if you want to just, find out the emails from the set of emails that you've sent out. It'll be easy to trace it.
Absolutely. So keywords is very important because I was looking for an email today that I had sent to a colleague more than a year ago, and I just put some keywords in the search box and I could find it like within no time. So it's important to use those.
Okay. Now the question that we've got is, majorly concise writing is very difficult. So how do we go about it?
You're absolutely right. Whoever has written this is being very honest. Because especially I can tell you from my own experience that in India, we've not been taught how to write very concisely. We've always been taught to use flowery language and taught how to, beat around the bush and then get to the point and not get straight to the point from the word go. So I think that it comes from practice. Please do look at the Learn English website that I keep mentioning. It's a wonderful website. Believe me, it's replete with a lot of information and ways in which you can write better emails. So if you just go to the search box there and type emails, you will see that there are lots and lots of practice activities that you can do over there. And this will only come with practice. Another tip that I would like to share with you is something that I shared before, that read your emails again as if you were the recipient. When you read the email yourself, you will understand that how can I make this language more precise.
Right. I think that's very important. Another question that we've got is how to write a formal email. How long, how short should it be?
Okay, there's no actual golden rule that how long or short should an email be. If you think of the email being in 4 paragraphs, remember the ODAC structure that I spoke to you about? The opening, the details, the action, and the closing. So that's what the structure should be like. These actually don't even look like paragraphs, honestly, Sonu. They look more like sentences. So imagine that So the opening and the closing will be 1 sentence each. And the details and the action could be a little bit longer, depending, of course, on the on why you're writing the email. Sometimes there is a lot to it.
Let's say, for example, that we're shooting an invite to someone. So the opening, closing, and in fact, over there, I think even the action could be just 1 line.
Absolutely.
But we'd be happy if you could kindly see to our request. That's the
Absolutely.
action that's required. So sometimes it could be just like 5, 6, 7 lines, and ODAC can still be. I think ODAC is a very important tip that you've given us. I mean, a way to remember what it should be like. Sometimes people
Yes.
forget. So
Yes.
ODAC, I mean, the first words, it's really amazing. Okay, another question that we have got is this one's interesting. While speaking before a large audience, sometimes we fumble or forget few relevant words. How do we improve this shortcoming? How do we work on this?
So really, it's not a shortcoming. I think we in India are very hard on ourselves when it comes to speaking in English. We all must understand that English is a foreign language for us. It is not our mother tongue, and we just think that we should be perfect. And just because we can't speak in English as well as others can, we think that this is a shortcoming. Well, it's not. It's okay. How do people in France, they take so much pride in speaking in French, or people in Spain take so much pride in speaking in Spanish? We as Indians should do that too. Of course, English is important in the global world. A tip that I would like to share with you, and this is a tip that even the Shashi Tharoors of the world follow. Yeah. So the best presenters in the world follow this. They actually practice a lot before the presentation. Yeah. And if they forget a word, it's perfectly fine. Just paraphrase, use another word. It's okay. If you can't remember a word, try to use a phrase instead, or a sentence to explain that word instead. It's perfectly fine to do that. Another way in which presenters remember, and actually a website that I would like to recommend to people who want to learn how to speak in front of an audience is TED Talks, TED. TED Talks, and it's one of my favorite websites because I've learned so much from that website. Not only how to present or public speaking, but also ideas. Because there are speakers from across the world and across genres who talk, and they give you like these really new and amazing path-breaking ideas that can really set you apart from others around you. So after you listen to a TED Talk, you have so many new things to talk about. So when you are watching these TED Talks, you will see that the speakers carry little visiting card size papers with them on their hand. Of course, a lot of people, I mean, many of them have teleprompters, so they don't need to. But usually carrying a set of cards with the major points written, not everything, just pointers that you need to remember is helpful. So once you finish the card, put it at the back. Look at the next card. Remember not to write everything, because then you will not be maintaining eye contact with the audience, but rather you will be reading from the card. Remember to also number the cards, because in case the cards fall, it will be a big problem. So remember to number the cards and keep them.
There's something that I'd like to share here. I think I did that long back, but then practicing in front of the mirror, that has helped me a lot. I mean, I used to sit in front of the mirror and just talk as tomorrow I have a presentation, but today I would just sit in front of the mirror. I used to do it when I was in college and just out of college, but I think that helped a lot. Do you think? I
Absolutely.
don't really know how that worked, but it did. It did.
One step ahead than that, Sonu, because when we were in school and college, we didn't have mobile phones in which we could record.
Exactly. Yeah.
So actually, better than talking in front of a mirror is recording yourself.
Right.
So when
Yes.
you record yourself making the presentation, you can play the recording again
Yes.
and watch it again to see what you can improve.
Right.
So
Right.
or you can ask your children. I have a 10-year-old son, and every time I have to make a big presentation, I practice in front of him, and he's like, I have a tendency of going a little bit like this, like a frowning face when I concentrate. So he'll keep telling me, Mama, remember to smile. So that's also something that you can do. Be open to feedback from your friends and family.
Right. Right. I know. I think they are your best critic. So whatever comes from them would be absolutely right.
Yes.
Also, there's another interesting query that has come up. How about follow-up emails on queries? How to send a strong message without really being rude?
Okay, actually, sending polite messages and strong messages can go hand in hand. It doesn't mean that a strongly sent email cannot be polite. So you can use words to actually reduce the intensity of the message. For example, if you think that something has created a big problem, then try to reduce the intensity of that of it saying this has created a bit of a problem for us. So it becomes quite clear to the recipient that there is a problem, but rather than using intense words, you can tone down the message a little bit. This in the English language fraternity is called hedging. So when you want to say like very rude or strong things, but you say it in a polite way.
Right. Someone's just asked for an ODAC full form again. That's opening details. I have learned it. Opening details, action, and closing. So I think that's a really handy thing that you've given us today. Also, what are the things to be considered or taken care of while sending emails to group or the whole company, the whole organization? Group emails they're talking about. So what are the things that needs to be considered and taken care of? I'm not sure if the question is very clear, but that's how it is.
I can give you a couple of tips.
Right.
Number one, be sure that the whole company needs to get that email firstly. Make sure that it's relevant for everyone who's getting it. The second thing is that keep the message very clear. Like, what is the purpose that you're writing that email? Make it very clear in the opening line itself so that the whole company, when they're reading, imagine how many people are reading that email. It's relevant to all of them, that they take something away from that. The third thing that I would like you to keep in mind is that use the to and the BCC and the CC boxes in a appropriate way. I'll give you an example. Now, for us at British Council, we actually have a very stringent child protection and safeguarding policy. So we are not allowed to share information of one child with someone else. So what we do is that we send emails, when we send mass emails to parents specifically, we put them in BCC boxes so that they think that the email is only going to them and no information is shared between people. So keep these privacy things in mind, and also please only send emails to the whole company only if required.
Yeah, I know. Because sometimes there are mails coming in like in bulk and you don't even know if you actually need to see those mails at all.
Actually, it happens, Sonu. What happens is that once you think that I'm going on getting emails from this particular person, which is not relevant to me, you even just ignore the relevant emails. So it's very important to keep that in mind.
Yes, CCing it to everyone is just not done. Okay,
actually, there's another point. Sorry, I would just like to add one more point because you mentioned CCing.
Yes.
Now, CCing is a very important skill that you need to learn.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about CCing and BCCing. Please kindly just elaborate a little more.
I will tell you. There are three ways in which you can send emails. So one is the to section, one is the CC section, one is the BCC section. Now, very simply, what does CC and BCC mean? CC used to mean carbon copy back in the day when we used to put carbon copies behind papers to write multiple copies of the same letter. Of course, we don't do that anymore, but that's the terminology we use. So the two are basically the people who are required to take action when you send an email. Okay, so that goes in the to box. I hope this is clear with everyone. The CC box is the box in which you are sending the email, you're CCing the people. You don't need them to take any action, but you have CC'd them for their information and knowledge. For example, if I am sending an email to my client or a vendor, I need to keep my manager informed of this conversation. So I will put my manager in CC. Okay. But remember, you don't have to CC your manager on everything because their inbox will also get flooded with emails coming from you all day long. So don't CC them on everything. CC them on only important conversations.
Managers have a trouble with this CC thing. A lot of trouble.
And BCC is for people who you copy on the email, but you don't want others to know that they have got that email. So if you want to be a little sneaky and you want to send that to someone, then I mean, you can do that. Also for protection purposes, where you don't want to reveal. Remember the holiday example I was giving you? So if you're sending the same email to like 5 hotels, in Shimla, for example, then you can just BCC them and send the same email to them.
Perfect. I think that was an appropriate example because BCC, I think a lot of people use it in a cheeky way. They want people to know, but then they don't want the rest of them to know that the people have been sent out or been informed as well. Okay. There's another interesting question that has come up. How do we keep ourselves updated when we're surrounded by non-English speaking speakers all the time? How do we work on our English speaking skills then?
So I have actually shared quite a few of the tips in the first part of my presentation. Something that you can do is really explore the world of podcasts. I'm telling you, it's so rich, the kind of quality podcasts that are being released now. You can find them on any music channel or app, like Spotify has them, Ghana has them. Of course, Apple has their own podcasts. If you just go on to the internet and search for podcasts and anything that you're interested in, it will come up with the languages. Very recently, I listened to a podcast on how to invest your money efficiently. So, a lot of people would like to know how much what percentage should you spend, what percentage should you save in long term, short term, things like that. So it was a really interesting podcast, and the way that the podcasts are done are very conversational. So it's not difficult to sort of grab attention to. It really holds your attention, and it's a conversation between two people, so it's very interesting to listen to. So I would really very, very strongly suggest that you explore the world of podcasts. You can, of course, also go to our Learn English British Council website. I'm not boasting, but the website is excellent. It is updated every week with new content, and it has a lot of grammar, vocabulary, listening, speaking, writing exercises, blogs that you can make use of.
Right. Ridhima, I think the gaining part from where we can learn and we can explore, I think that part is clear. But you mentioned about being able to practice it, because at the end of the day, unless we practice, we'd not be able to, go anywhere near perfection. So I think the problem that with this particular question is, if you're surrounded by non-English speaking speakers, so let's say I've learned it all, but I'm still not being able to use it. And how to go about it then? I think that's what a lot of people face, that they're not being able to speak, and it's all stored, but when it comes to actually speaking, they're not able to use those words that they've learned.
That's very interesting, Sonu. What we do, and because I have taught in so many government institutions and management institutions and corporates, what we tell them on day one is that they need to build a community. And what do you mean by that? Building a community of like-minded people who would like to improve their language. So, you're not trying to show off that I'm trying to speak in English, but you know that I'm trying to speak only to improve. So that's the idea with which you should form a community. I actually encourage my students to actually make a WhatsApp group and have conversations with each other in English. They can just call each other up and say, hey, do you want to talk for 5 minutes? And they can just discuss their favorite movie or a problem that they are facing at work, or study together, form a study group and things like that. So these actually really help in finding people. And remember this website I suggested, Discord. Discord is a great website where you can actually find communities to improve English. Facebook has it, Reddit has it. So do find communities like that and become a part of it. I think that shamelessly, even if you go to buy a coffee and, try in English, what's the problem? If that person doesn't understand, you can always repeat yourself in another language. It's fine. How do you care whether they think that you're showing off?
Absolutely. I think that's the way one should go about it. I have to learn and I have to practice. So irrespective of how people are reacting, as long as they understand, I mean, you have to let go of this shyness that, okay, they may be thinking that I'm showing off. So you have to convince them that it's just for your own learning. I think that's very important, very useful to form a community. Another question. We have enough time. We can take a couple of more questions, right?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Right. The interesting questions coming up. If I have to communicate and send mail to a particular director in an organization, but in reply, if he puts a CC to everyone, what should we do in the reply? That's
Honestly,
okay.
you can't do anything.
I
When you become a director, remember not to do that.
know. Right. Also, there's another one. I think you can just like kind of ignore and send a reply just to the director back. That's all you can do. Another one that has come is, are letters the same as emails? Can you share some tips for letter writing to companies and regulators? And do you have a PPT and the sites on this? Okay, the sites mentioned, I think they have listed it all to us. We'll try to list them out on the chat board. Yes, with respect to the similarity between letter and email. Ridhima,
Letters are a little bit longer. In a letter format, you don't go to the issue directly. So the opening, you have to actually sort of build a little bit of context before you write the letter. I mean, before you go into the purpose of writing the letter. So, it is a little bit longer. And letter writing also comes with its own sort of conventions. For example, you need to write the name, so dear so and so on the left, but then yours sincerely on the right. You need to indent the paragraphs and so on and so forth, which you don't have to do for emails. Everything is left indented on the emails. So I think emails are more concise, more direct, whereas letters could be a little bit longer.
Right. Another one is it necessary to always write thanks at the end?
No, not required. Again, on the basis of formality, you can say sincerely, you can say regards. Usually now regards is considered as a semi-formal accepted way of signing off an email. So if you write regards, you are in the correct, like in safe territory. But you don't need to write thanks at the end. No.
If you don't really want, I think regards is a safe bet. Right. Is there any app or online platform to help with phonetics? Because someone wants to get rid of the mother tongue language influence.
Yes, there is. However, I just want to tell you that getting rid of MTI or mother tongue influence is not easy, because for how many ever years you've lived, you have been using that influence on your language. That has had an influence. So even if I teach you the correct pronunciation of a word now, it's very difficult. If I ask you in another 10 minutes, you will still go back to the original pronunciation. So the way to do it is actually to go to the dictionary. I mentioned this earlier. There is a fantastic dictionary on the internet, and I use it all the time, called dictionary.cambridge.org. So it's a dictionary by the University of Cambridge. In that, it has an icon on which if you click it, it gives you the pronunciation. It says the word out loud for you. So what you need to do is to replicate that and do it on a daily basis till you actually don't have to second guess yourself that is this the pronunciation or that, right? So practice. The first step to actually understanding what are the words that you need more practice with is listen to differences. So listen when someone else is speaking English, especially even when you're watching a TV show or whatever, and listen for differences that, oh, I don't say this word the way that person says this word. So which is correct? Am I correct or is he or she correct? Note down the word on your mobile phone, because I'm guessing that everyone has their phones with them all the time. And then once you have like a bank of 8 to 10 words, you can open the dictionary and you can look at those, look at the pronunciation of that word to go along. To sort of practice it.
Right. Okay. Another one, just with this, that you said practice. What if suddenly there is a situation where I'm thrown into going out and talking to a public at large? If I have to face this situation, how to handle this one? There's a situation where suddenly I am just asked to go out and shoot some information or some kind of explanation. I have to go and give out to the public. How do I go about it? That's a sudden situation.
I think something that you must keep in mind is don't lose your cool. Keep calm and and keep your cool and speak with a smile, speak with confidence. No matter how uncomfortable you might be feeling on the inside, keep a cool demeanor.
I think also, how about, very quickly putting some notes on your mobile phone, like pointers. These are the things that you'd be talking on. As long as your content is there,
Absolutely.
the words would just flow.
That's a great tip.
I think whatever you mentioned earlier, that with us, we have this we are caged that we have to speak English properly. Though it's an acquired language and we are allowed to make mistakes, but somehow we pressurize ourselves so much that unless we speak correctly with correct grammar, we shouldn't be speaking. And in the process, we lose out on all the opportunities where we could just go out and practice and maybe, work on our skills. So,
Don't be afraid to make errors. It's okay. No one ever learned a language without making
best
errors.
tip, I would say that's the best tip she's given. Don't be afraid to make errors. Just go out and speak. There's one more question that has come in. Just a second. How to prepare a good resume? Are there any tips that you would like to share?
I would actually. I think that this is a webinar topic on it by itself, because there's just so much I can say about this. But the one tip that I would like to share with you is that you cannot have the same resume for 10 different jobs that you're applying to. So first, look at the job profile and see what is the requirement of that job. What are they seeking? And then sort of tweak your resume to highlight those areas. So put them first. And don't talk about where you went to primary school and nursery. Talk about only the relevant details that the person who will be looking at your CV will need to make a decision that should we call this person for an interview, or things like that.
Right. Great. I think that's a very useful tip. It's not like one thing serves all. You have to create it according to the jobs you're applying for. Great.
Yeah.
Another one is how to welcome people of different designations without any hesitation. Not very clear with this question.
I'm wondering whether this would be online or face to face, but saying a
Assuming
hello,
that it would be face to face only.
yeah, a hello would be really nice. And I think that don't be afraid to, of course, keeping COVID protocol in mind and social distancing, don't be afraid to shake hands. I think in India, we are also very afraid to shake hands, and no one taught us how to do it properly. So I've had people who have done like limp handshakes, and it just seems so unprofessional. So clasp your hand properly, give it a
Firm handshake.
firm shake, and to say that you mean business. So it's something, of course, that you could do. Some things that you could also keep in mind is that people who are senior to you, maybe you would like to stand up when they enter, wish them a good morning or a hello. Namaste always works, and it transcends.
Also, if you could very quickly tell us, Ridhima, that if there are two people and I have to introduce them, like how should the introductions go? Say for example, if I'm walking along with a senior person from my company and there's another person from another company, also a very senior person of that organization, and I am to introduce the two. So how should I go about the introductions? Whom to introduce to whom? How should one do it?
So the way that you can start, remember these phrases are very important. So if you have these phrases written somewhere in your little bank that you have, it'll come to you when you really need them. So you could just say, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Mr. So-and-so to you. Sir, this is, and he is the director of this company, and he works as, or she works as, the chief operating officer,
Right.
or whatever.
So you need to say, let's say to the person who is from my organization, I am introducing the other person to him first.
No,
Or should
the
I
other way
introduce?
around. The other way
It's the
around.
other way around. Right. Okay. Well, that was useful. I think we've come to the end of it. There are some questions on what grammar books and websites should we go to.
I would like to answer this question, Sonu. Please.
Yes, please.
Please do not learn grammar. It is not important. It is the least important part of learning a language is the grammar. I can tell you that if you learn the grammar rules, but you don't know how to apply the grammar rules, the grammar is useless. So please learn how to listen to phrases and chunks of language that are useful to you in everyday conversations rather than using grammar. Grammar, in my opinion, is absolutely the most useless part of a language.
I often say this to people, the Reverend Martin days are kind of over. It's the talking and hearing, listening to and speaking days that are there now. So you have to make use of those days.
Yes, if you have a bonfire, throw all your grammar books in that bonfire.
Oh my God, I hope the grammar teachers are not listening to you. Okay, I think we have kind of come to the end of it. I'm just checking if I've missed out on any other question. Okay, there's one very sweet question. Will we be getting a certificate for attending this webinar? Oh, no. You're getting so many valuable tips and tricks. I think that's more than a certificate. We have something for you. I'll answer that later. We have something for all of y'all. But I think that's about it. We do not really have more questions. Anything else from your end, Ridhima, that you would like to share? Like a closing remark kind of a thing?
So closing remark is, again, top tips are practice learning English, practice speaking in English without feeling scared. It's okay. No one ever learned how to cook without making bad food, ever. So please do practice speaking in English. Don't be obsessed with grammar. Be more obsessed with the content, about what you want to say and whether that point has come across or not. When it comes to writing emails, please check your emails before you hit the send button. This is a classic error that a lot of people make and very easily avoidable and easily fixable. So please do check your emails. And the last thing is that please do visit our Learn English British Council website. It has a treasure trove of information that is relevant for everyone who goes to that website. So use it, please.
Great. So with that, I think we've come to the end of this fantastic webinar. It's been an exceptionally amazing session. And thank you so much, Ridhima, for giving us such excellent pointers. I have picked up some for myself. Very delighted. Okay, now this is the part where I'm answering your question, where y'all were asking whether we are getting any certificate. So ICSI is very delighted to inform you all that we would be starting a course soon on Advanced English with British Council India. The details of the same would be shared with you all shortly. And yeah, so before we wrap up, I would just like to thank you all for your time and your patience. We hope that we've been able to add some value today. And for all those who are interested in rewatching the webinar, a recording of the same is available on the ICSI YouTube channel. And it's a goodbye from all of us here. Stay healthy and have a very nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.